أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وآل آله وصحبه ومن والاه رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي آمين رب العالمين. There's a certain age where things start to get different. There's a certain age where when I sent my children to Sunday school or Islamic school, one week they would tell me all the things they memorized. And then the next week they say, I don't want to be there anymore. There's a certain age where they can begin to make the excuses that I have too much schoolwork and I don't have time to study this anymore. There's a certain age that whether I would argue you were the most supporting parent ever, or whether you were a parent that just did not ever give attention to your children, on either end of the spectrum, no matter what type of parent you were, there's a certain age where they're less inclined to listen. And in this age, you'll find that the Muslims are struggling to figure out, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing to make sure that my son is praying? How do I communicate to them that Allah is watching? How do I stop them from falling into the haram? How do I shelter them from being exposed to things that I don't want them to be doing? In fact, I don't even want them to know. You know, the Christians have the same problem. You know, the Jews have the same problem. You know, the non-Muslims, the Hindus, the people that worship anything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they all have the same problem, because this is not something specific to Muslim youth. Psychologically speaking, or I should say sociologically speaking, there's a certain point where the mind starts to change and you are so much more aware of the people around you. And not only that, at that certain age you start to seek the acceptance of the groups around you. And you start to try to make sure that you're conforming and you're not trying to stand too far away from it, and you're more susceptible to people influencing you with peer pressure and so on and so forth. At the ages, I would argue, of around 13, 14, 15 years old, we start to see this in our communities. And we start to believe that we did something wrong and actually they are developing. And when the subject is changing, then the treatment should be subject to change as well. The solution should be adaptable. Because as the environment continues to grow, this perfect Islam should be able to continue to grow with it without changing its core values. So what happens? Youth end up saying, I don't want to listen anymore. They end up rebelling. They start saying that I don't want to go to whatever it was that was teaching me Islam before. It's not working anymore. I would argue that at the age where they no longer are ready to be lectured, they don't want to feel like they're hearing a lecture anymore. What do they need? They need the approval of their peers, and they need to, as was narrated by Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anh, that you are on the religion of your friends. You are on the religion of your friends. So when you come to that age and you're on the religion of your friends, we have to stop using the previous solution and move forward. So what do we do moving forward? In young Muslims, we allow the youth to come together on a weekly basis and be just that, the youth. We don't waste our resources on a youth coordinator that will maybe do a good job for a few years, but when they are no longer relevant, when they are no longer of the age group, when they can no longer connect to what they went through in high school, because the high school that these youth are going through is different, then they have to be removed from the equation. And then what happens is everything collapses, because a community was built around an individual. When we know from our own Prophet ﷺ that Mu'adh ibn Jabal, he said, I need you to go to Yathrib and I need you to answer the questions and I need you to carry Islam. And this was the greatest prophet that ever walked the face of the earth, and it was within his ability to go to other places, and yet he said, while he was still the only prophet on earth, the last prophet on earth, he said that I need you to go and give da'wah. I need you to become the next leader. I need to develop you. So that being said, we know that the leadership has to transition and people have to grow. How is that ever going to happen if we don't let them speak up? How is that going to happen if we're so content with talking at them? If we don't want to let them figure out their Islam? At YM, what we do is we allow the youth to come together from the ages of 14 or 15 to 25. And we say that you have to conduct your own discussion about Islam this week. You have to take the responsibility of going out. You take the responsibility of making sure everybody's fed. You take the responsibility of having a good time. And you know what? They want to do that anyway. They're already going to go out on Friday or Saturday night with their friends. Might as well make it a group of Muslim friends. Might as well make it such that no matter what high school they go to, or college they go to, or class they're in, honors, AP, or below, it doesn't matter, because the constant is the community that they're building and the brotherhood that they're building at the masjid. And that years later, when everything changes in their life, the Islamic values and the brotherhood that they developed when they were younger are those things that help carry them into the future. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.